All right, before we go on any further, we're just cutting across to Tis Jasir, who's been brought to the Patiala House Court. As you know, he is the second arrested by the NIA in the case regarding the Red Fort blast. Yesterday, Amir Rashid was brought into the Patiala House Court as well in 10-day NIA custody. Today, Tis Jasir has been brought to the Patiala House Court. This is the latest that we're getting at the moment. Tis Jasir Vani, who was arrested in connection to the Red Fort blast on the 10th of November, has been brought to the Patiala House Court as well. From what we do know, he was apparently responsible for all the technical and logistical support with regards to the plan that was to be carried out in Delhi. For more on this, we have with us Ananya Bhatnagar. Thank you so much for joining us. Ananya, what can you tell us? Jasir has been brought to the Patiala House Court now.
Well, absolutely. Jasir alias Danish, who is the fresh breakthrough as far as the National Investigation Agency's probe in the Delhi blast case is concerned, has been brought before, the Patiala House Court. He has been brought to the districts and principal judge of the Patiala House Court, Anju Bajaj Channa. He will be produced there. And what is very, very crucial to note at this particular juncture is that this arrest that has been made by, in fact, the National Investigation Agency, he was somebody who was a drone expert. He was hired in order to create, rocket-like precision bombs, and that is something, it seems to be a kind of a plan that, a kind of a bombing that Hamas generally does, and that is exactly what the plan could have been, is what the NIA suspects, and hence he has been brought back to the court, and he will be now be produced before, in fact, the Delhi's Patiala House Court, and we'll get to know as to how many days of police custody, remand or judicial custody would he be sent to by the court here.
All right, of course, we do know that Danish was arrested from Srinagar yesterday and was the first choice we are given to understand for the suicide attack as well. However, there was a change in plans that is owing to the timely intervention of the Indian forces and agencies. And he is now been brought to the Patiala House Court. What sort of legal tools are at play here?
Well, at the first hearing, as we see, the National Investigation Agency would be seeking certain days of police custody remand. Yesterday, the first breakthrough, Amir was actually produced, and 10 days of police custody remand was sought, and the papers that were accessed by CNN News18 clearly show that he needs to be taken to Kashmir. So whether a similar plot is there for, in fact, Danish as well, is something that we'll have to wait and watch for until the end of the hearing, and whether what happens inside the court is something that we'll get to know only after the hearing, since it's an in-camera proceeding that takes place because it's a matter of national security. So only the accused person and the lawyers are generally allowed inside, and it's not open for the general public to actually view those particular hearings, and hence we'll have to wait and watch as to how things pan out, and whether NIA be able to secure a longer custody of Jasir alias Danish in this particular case.
Absolutely, and Jasir, from what we do know, was providing all the technical and logistical support. We know Amir was related to the car registration, and he was supposed to provide support for logistics there. Jasir was providing technical support, was preparing to carry out Hamas-style attacks using drones which were fitted with small, powerful bombs as well. Do we know what the actual plan was there, and what sort of equipment, perhaps the composition that was in place for the same?
Well, the bomb that was actually used in the Red Fort car blast had TATP, is what, in fact, our colleague Anvit Srivastava had earlier broken out.
Right.
But as far as the larger plan is concerned, we'll get to know more and more when the investigators actually grill these accused persons who are there, and we'll get to know actually as to what this sinister plan really was.
All right, and of course, the more we discuss this, the further we get into how deeply entrenched this entire ecosystem is. We've been looking at those videos of Dr. Omar Nabi also, which was apparently recorded 2 months prior to the attack as well, and that clearly shows that there were suicidal tendencies. He also appears to be justifying suicide bombing in relation to that. Now we have 2 arrests. We're talking about Jasir Vani, Danish, and of course Amir Rashid as well. How things move going forward, that's something that remains to be seen. However, what's at play here, and what are we looking at, and what can we expect from this hearing?
Well, what we clearly expect at this particular point of time is that the National Investigation Agency, in its plan, would be showing the court as to what kind of an investigation it has conducted and what kind of a role did Jasir alias Danish actually played in this particular case because preliminary the National Investigation Agency has already given out a statement saying that he was somebody who was a drone expert and was devised to actually design rocket style bombs, and that is something that plot points out to a very very sinister plan that could have been hatched as far as things are concerned. So whether there is more to it, how much of it would be told to the court, and how much the NIA knows is something that can only be clarified after this hearing actually concludes before the Patiala House Court, and we get to see the papers or some kind of a document that has been submitted by the NIA after Jasir's arrest from JNK and being
Right.
brought to National Capital.